There's power in a drum beat on a hill above the sea. Power in the voice of a supporter. But it all amounts to nothing. Together we don't sing. There's power when we're North Boise. San Diego forever. Old Town scenery. Valley and mountain shine brown to the sea. And the colors of our rainbow, sunset orange, Tory green. There's power when we're North Boise. SC loyal forever. Someday North County. Desert to islands. Get back on you and me. All our voices strong together as we cheer on our team. There is power when we're North
Welcome to the Loyal Locals podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer. We have a lot of great loyal soccer to talk about tonight. A lot of great events with the supporters group coming up. We just came off a game, 2 games actually, last week, including the Open Cup match at San Diego State. And there is an away game Sunday. So we're going to clue you in on all of the watch parties to come this weekend. But to help us get through all of this soccer, let's bring on our producer, John Cross. John, how are you, sir?
I am doing very well, thank you. We do have a lot of soccer to talk about today.
And our guest, the illustrious, famous Ken Gartin. Ken, what's up, man?
Hey, always glad to talk soccer on this pod. This is probably one of my favorite things to listen to on Wednesdays.
I don't believe you, but thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So Ken brings up a great point, and I want to get this out of the way right at the top of the show, is that we release 2 podcasts on Wednesdays. So if you're subscribed to this podcast, you probably already know this, but if this is your first time around the block, there are 2 pods. This is the Loyal Locals podcast. The second pod is the Locals Only Lounge, where we have a little more of a freewheeling format and delve into, topics of particular interest to supporters group and supporter culture. But for this one, we're going to stick to business, right, John?
That's right. Stay on top of all the important news for the week here.
All right. So let me ask you, because it's so tough. My brain is just, there are like little soccer balls bouncing around in my brain. Are we starting with the Open Cup, or do we start with Tulsa? Let's go
We can start with either one. Where do you want to go?
Let's start chronologically with Wednesday. So
Okay.
The last week we had 2 home matches, technically both home matches. The first was a Wednesday night game at the Sports Deck at San Diego State against the San Diego Albions, or the Albions of San Diego Albion. Ken, you were there?
I was there. Yeah, it was funny, actually. I was in the Modern Times tasting room, and somebody was wearing their Albion sweatshirt, and I was wearing my Loyal sweatshirt. And we kind of looked at each other a little bit like, yeah, all right. And we walked away. It was a really kind of a fun local soccer night where, it was very intimate. Obviously, it was mostly season ticket holders, so it was a really good chance to kind of really get down and right behind goal there and see a very different perspective. Y'all brought the noise with the drums, and we brought the chants, and it was a really fun time.
Yeah, it was. The Sports Deck is such a strange place for a soccer match. It's actually not that bad, really. It is on the top of a parking garage. It's the top level. There's a set of bleachers just on the one side. The supporters group was right behind the net, and like literally right behind the net, which was a great vantage for the Evan Conway goal, which was the opening goal of the match. I think, was it Charlie that sent that into him, or was it some?
I don't remember who sent it in.
See, every time I
partly
try to
because I
sound
was
smart,
doing a bunch
I
of
get something
filming.
wrong. Okay.
I do wish there was a way for us to replay. I was able to watch, obviously, on ESPN Plus, and it was a bummer that there was no any kind of televised or streaming option for the Open Cup. But it does sound like for the next round there will be streaming, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it was because I was right behind the net, and so Conway is just steaming in to the goal. The ball comes in, and I don't even know if he got his foot on that ball. It just bounced off of his body into, because he was charging right into the net. It was one of those goals where it was like a whole body effort, and maybe he did get his foot on it, but in my mind's eye, it was just he just willed it in with his body because he was just charging in so quickly, and yeah, it was a great goal. And I really thought that Albion, they play in the lower division of the division immediately under USL. It's called NISA. But they don't play like a lower division team. I thought they played pretty well.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah,
they did a lot of challenging. I thought they really were aggressive. It just felt like they didn't quite have that finishing final third where they had somebody that was, making shots on goal.
Well, and I think for them, if I'm not mistaken, this was their first official match, really. So new coach, new players. Really hard that your season hasn't quite started yet and you jump right into an Open Cup match. So if I may be mistaken, but I thought it was the Open Cup match and then they had a game over the weekend, and those were their first actual games together. So that's tough. And I agree. I thought they played pretty well overall. And I think if they had a little more time to get some games under their belt, it could have been an even tighter game.
Notable, we got the first start of young Duran Free, the wonderkin, the goalie of the U.S. men's U17. Was U16 or U17?
U17.
Coming off international play last month before last, and he is U17, but that is a grown man between the posts, and I thought he really commanded the box quite well and quite authoritatively. You really can see his confidence for his first start with that first team. Just I thought he played with a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where when you find out, oh yeah, right, he's 17 and more gray hair start spouting out of my head. How is that possible? At 17, I was not a professional athlete or anywhere close to anything like that. So his maturity, like seeing him, getting this, I got to go to the unveiling of his mural and just seeing the awe of that moment for him was pretty amazing. And he's just a very grounded person. You see him with his parents, and he's just a really good kid. And I'm excited to see what his future is. Obviously, already connecting with U.S. soccer, that's just a feather in the cap for the Loyal.
Yeah, and I think we also saw a very good performance from Xavi, right?
Yeah, he drew the penalty.
He got his. We saw him a little bit. I feel like we saw him 2 seasons ago. He got some time when him and CJ first came up to the first team. They got a little bit of time and some. I guess in basketball you call it garbage time, but
late action, yeah.
And he looks. I mean, clearly he's 2 years older now, but he does not look like the same player he was 2 years ago. I might sound very obvious saying that, but
yeah, I think they've both come a long way, and really good to see the improvement in their performance, and then to realize how young they still are, and they both seem to have a very high ceiling. So I don't know how long or if ever we will actually get to see them really play for the Loyal, because they may be moving on to other things, but I really do hope we get to see them for at least a good season of playing time before they most likely move on to a different level.
I mean, it's USL. We just got to take it one season at a time because there's so much turnover on these rosters, and just keeping a core of players together year to year, like Loyal has done, already kind of gives you a leg up on the other teams because there's so much churn. It seems like the teams that can keep cores together are the ones that you see at the top of the table year in and year out.
Well, I mean, I'm just happy that at some point I'll be able to chant, "He's one of our own. He's one of our own."
That's right.
And it did happen. It happened on Wednesday for Duran, but then it happened again on Saturday because we had an incredible match against the Tulsa FCs of Tulsa,
FC Tulsa.
Oklahoma. FC Tulsa's of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Coming in, they did find the pitch. They did not get lost and end up on the baseball field like we were a little nervous that they would, being accustomed, of course, to playing on a baseball field in Tulsa. But they found the pitch, and I thought they gave Loyal a pretty good fight.
Yeah, I thought overall we had the better play, but I mean, they were dangerous. They had times where they were very dangerous and had shots. And frankly, I really, I think it was Sean Duffy put this in Discord, and I have to agree with him. I think Camden Riley and Koke Vegas have really impressed this year. Koke's shot stopping ability has improved dramatically since last year. And frankly, if he didn't bail us out a couple of times, that could have been a very different outcome in that game.
Absolutely. I went back and watched the replay, because obviously when you're in 109 screaming and hollering and everything's happening on the other side of the field and you're missing things and you're waving a flag, it's a little hard to keep up. And it was actually, I kind of came back to that place where I felt very frustrated in 109, because it felt like there was opportunities where they get there but not be able to finish. And then you had Charlie Adams taking that penalty, and he hit the crossbar, and you're like, oh, it kind of almost felt like one of those games where it just felt like, oh, the Loyal are not going to win this match. And then from the heavens came an own goal off.
You said you got frustrated in 109. You know what? I did too, because there was a point in time, I think in like the 75th minute ish, where I just felt the energy wasn't there. You kind of listen and you're like, oh, I kind of look back and I can look at the people and they're not chanting, right? Like they're not singing, they're not chanting. There was no sound. It was quiet. And I got pretty, as I do, frustrated by that, because, I do play a drum for the entirety of the game. I don't stop. Like, I don't want anybody to stop. The whole point is that we don't stop, because it's never over, right? It is never over. Something can always happen. It is a 90-minute game, and you can create goals in the 94th minute if you try and you keep pushing and you keep going. And that's exactly what we saw. Nick Moon just got off. Somehow he got a cross off from that right corner of the field. It sailed into the box, and Colin Fernandez, I think he's a midfielder on Tulsa, just beautifully got his head on that ball and got it right into the top corner of the net beyond the goalie's reach for a game-winning own goal. And I mean, I did not have to tell anybody in the section to get loud at that moment, but it just goes to show, like, that churn, that sound, the loudness. Like, I'm not taking credit for the goal completely, but I will say that we do not make it easy or fun or for these visiting teams, that goalkeeper, that squad, right, when we are going and we are willing and it's loud and the drums are banging, we don't make it easy on them. And guess what? All it takes is one mistake, and that was one hell of a mistake.
On that note, I brought my youngest to the game. It's the first time he's come to a game with me. He doesn't live in San Diego, so he was down for Easter. So I brought him and his girlfriend, and then my daughter was there with me, and she comes with me regularly. But he had a blast, first of all. He and his girlfriend just absolutely loved it. I kind of prepped him before. You're going to be in the supporter section. We were down there in the front row. But one of the things he commented on afterwards, it's the first sporting event he's ever been to where the home team got scored upon, and the stadium, because to him he's just in 109, so he's hearing all the, like, everybody just kept going. They didn't stop. And he thought that was really cool, that it didn't create a hush around the stadium, that it kept going. In fact, it got a little bit louder and people got into it to try to get the team moving forward again. So that's one of the things I'm most proud of that we do. in 109, and I hope we always do that. But we keep going for the full 90.
Well, I remember one of the things Jerry Jimenez said is like, when they score, we get louder. And so we don't let that defeat us. Like, we just keep that level up, and we take it up another level if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think this is one of those things that is unique about like this sport and like supporter culture, where like, okay, the Padres are going to draw tens of thousands of fans, right? But like, as a fan at Petco Park, you don't feel like you really have an impact on the game. I mean, it gets loud in the playoffs, and there are fleeting moments of that kind of majesty, like, you know, when everybody was swinging the towels last season. But you know, every match at Torero is like that if you're in 109, and it's just a constant where like you feel like you really are that 12th man. And yeah, it really paid off. You know, just putting that ball like in position for mistakes to happen or something to happen, you know, that's all it takes. And you have to be willing to take those strikes and be willing to take those chances. Yeah, I don't know if either of you have any other thoughts about the Tulsa match, but I do want to talk about another player who put a ball in a good position just today. Today, we're going to veer a little bit away from Loyal Soccer for just a moment, because today's been a day of nice goals, and we wanted to just acknowledge them real quick. I think, John, you've got that one ready?
Yeah, let's pull this up here. So you can just kind of talk through it.
Sure. So this is Alana Cook, the U.S. women's team, shooting the ball from almost midfield, and it just arcs right over the fingertips of Ireland's goalie, and it goes in. Really, I don't know if she was really shooting it or if she was just trying to get the ball into the box, but you know, when you take chances like that, you know, sometimes good things happen. And I was thinking, obviously Nick Moon did not do what she just did. I'm not saying that it was the same thing, but there's a similar thing here where like you just take the chances that you get and you put the ball in a position, and you just never know. That's why that box is so dangerous. And like with Loyal, I feel like we've often been on the wrong side of that danger. So
yeah.
I don't want to talk about Phoenix from seasons past or anything, but it's happened before for us.
What was interesting was, since we brought up the Devil's name, so Saturday was my third Loyal match in a week's time, and probably the most satisfying of all the matches was the 2-2 Rising draw, because of where we were. Obviously, we were in the stadium. Andrew and I were in the stadium, and you know, being down 2-0 and feeling like, you know, what's going on? Why are we this bad on the road? Why can't we get, you know, solve this? Like it felt like, you know, we just couldn't finish, and it felt like very frustrating. And then we got that first goal, and I honestly feel like if there was a little extra time, that I feel like there was a third goal out there, because Phoenix was so defeated. And again, it felt great winning against Albion. It felt great winning against Tulsa, because, man, I love winning. I hate losing. But like, I almost hate losing more than I love winning. And so there was something about that draw, especially with all of the, you know, Phoenix fans were telling us it was 2-0, and, you know, oh, we can't hear you, like, you know, and everything else like that. And we just kept getting louder. And again, there was 30 of us, but we made a hell of a lot of noise, and we recruited fans from the stands that, like, we're on the Loyal side right now. Like, we're wearing Phoenix gear, but we're 100% behind y'all. And that was really kind of fun. And so, like, that's what I love about, you know, the Loyal and these games. And again, you're absolutely right when you're talking about, you know, being on the wrong side, and I can't tell how many times I'm chewing my nails the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game because I have the PTSD of so many really close. We almost closed it out, but we let one in at the very end there, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like it was nice to be able to finish one and steal 3 points from Tulsa, which again it very much felt like once we hit 90 minutes that the draw was inevitable. And yeah, we had 4 minutes, but like it didn't feel like there were a lot of chances that we were gonna like make that final push to get that score. And when the own goal went in, you could just like feel like this whole sense of relief in all of 109 and maybe across the whole stadium as well, where we're like, thank God.
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, if you didn't know better, you'd think he put it in on purpose because it was such a beautiful and perfect header. But yeah, I think as soon as they kicked off, they blew the whistle. It was literally the last. That was the last play of the game, pretty much, and devastating for him. Shout out. I hope you're doing okay. But
Yeah,
thank you.
there was apparently another, and again, I didn't remember it when I was standing 109, but apparently there was another almost own goal earlier in the match that
There
I
was,
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those things like they kind of planted the seed like, oh, that could have actually happened earlier, and so it was like one of those things where I think it was just right time, right place, and thank God it went our way.
Yeah, it's nice to be on this side of luck for once, and it feels like this season. I don't know. Feel like we've been on this side, the right side, more than wrong. Unlike years past, not reading my tea leaves or checking my star charts, but it is a good omen, I think. So, John, we have another match on Saturday. This time in New Mexico. Are we going to have any watch parties for the locals to attend?
Well, we'll have our normal watch party. So in the South Bay, Cabarros, where you get 20% off food and drinks if you show your 2023 scarf chain. So they are always one of our biggest supporters. Great place to go and watch a game if you've never been, especially if you're in the South Bay or even close where you can drive down there. North County Coastal is still going to be Northern Pine Brewing in Oceanside. And then Central is always fair play, but just a heads up, I think Ken reminded me of this, that the Wave also have a watch party there at 7. So, I mean, good news or bad news, depending if you want to catch both games, that might be a great place for you to go as fair play. If you don't want all the other stuff, then you might want to check out, if you're more central, the shop, because the team is doing a watch party at the shop on Saturday. So you can eat over at the Shake Shack and you can go and enjoy the match. I'm not really sure where or how they're showing it. I know they have a TV inside, but I don't know if they're doing some kind of projection. But they're going to do a watch party. They're going to have some exclusive items. They're doing some giveaways during the watch party.
They're going to have that keg. They're going
And
to pull that keg from the office, and
that's a good question. I don't know if they're going to be doing that or not. I'm not
Well,
sure
they're
they
not
can
supposed
say
to-
even if they were.
not supposed to mention that.
But it's also the spring sale this weekend and I think I have something for that. Let me pull this up here. So in addition to the watch party, it's the spring sale Friday, Saturday, and Sunday where they have up to 30% off, which must mean they're clearing some stuff out to make room for some more merch, is what is probably happening there. But those are your watch party ideas, and then the shop if you want to do the team one, and maybe pick up some merch while you're there. That's both at the shop and online this weekend is the 30% off.
Yeah, I do. This will be, I think, my first watch party this year because I was away at Phoenix, and then I ended up watching the SAC game in a hotel room, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to hitting up my first watch party of the season. I will be going to Cabarros, which is my preferred
Yeah.
spot. It's also I don't know. I know the Chavos, they've been kind of mixing it up lately, so they don't always do Cabarros, but I'll have to check their Discord and make sure that. Anyway, Cabarros is always a solid option. I don't know the other locations. I don't know if Waves like official watch party is at Fair Play. Like I'm assuming they'll have the sound for the Wave game on and not not the Loyal.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the Sirens are having it, and they were kind of wondering like, well, what's the situation as far as sound? I know we generally are on the patio at Fair Play and with the sound. There is, I think, like a 30-minute difference, time difference. So I was even like willing to like say, hey, like maybe we could do the, have the wave for the, the second half and the first half for the Loyal or whatever, makes sense as far as, making it fair for everybody. The other, as I am as much as I am a local, I'm also a Siren, and I kind of want to be able to make sure that there's inclusivity for everybody, that everybody can watch.
Yeah.
Watch. And I definitely, if there's a Padre game and the Wave and, the Loyal playing all at the same time, like I only have so many eyeballs. And so like sometimes a sports bar like that is going to be a great place to try to catch.
Ken, I think it's time for you to pick a side, man. It's time to pick a side. You're on the fence. You're an independent voter now. I mean, come on, man.
I am a declined to state voter, actually, but yeah, I am a San Diego sports fan, so I love anybody that represents San Diego. I'm a fan of you.
Of course. John, do we have another? Do we have a bus trip coming up, or a possible bus trip that people need to be on the lookout for? I think
I would
there's another
say
away game
no
coming.
information just yet, but be on the lookout for no solid information yet, but be on the lookout for the Orange County match, which I don't remember the date off the top of my head here, in May, late May, I believe.
Yeah, May 6th.
Oh, early May. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a Saturday.
That there will be a bus. It just, I think the logistics and pricing and everything else is still being worked on. So as soon as all of that is solidified, then we will have that out for everyone. So look for that, especially in the Discord, and how then we'll handle tickets and bus. And I'm pretty sure the team is doing a bus, so that's part of the logistics that are being worked on. So there will probably be a team bus, but there will be a locals bus, which is a little bit different if you've never been on the locals bus. So
Family
I
friendly.
think they're just trying to finalize all those details before they push everything out. But yes, pay close attention because that information should be coming out very soon.
Yeah, so I bring it up because I know it's a few weeks off, but I mean, May the 6th, it's May. People are feeling froggy. It's springy. They want to jump. They want to go to the beach. They want to do things other than go watch soccer games. But I'm telling you, that's a mistake, because these bus trips, especially the OC bus trips, are always so fun. It's so close. So it's a short drive and it goes by real quick because, we do bring the party with us. It is a party bus. And it's probably, if you were to take a poll of people who've been on these bus trips, what their favorite things that we do as a supporter group is, I think this would rank very high at the top, if not at the top.
I would agree.
Another away day that's coming up pretty soon, though, is the next round of the Open Cup. And I know that there are some folks that are traveling up to Seattle. Have you all?
There is no bus to Seattle. I want to make sure that everybody knows we are not chartering a bus to go to Seattle on a Wednesday.
Yeah. But
there are people making arrangements.
Yeah. I really did want to go. And then when I saw that they were not playing at the MLS stadium, it kind of dropped my interest level a little bit. Again, I hope that there is a day that San Diego has an MLS team, and I hope it includes all the people that are involved in Loyal right now. I kind of wanted to draw the LAFC, and I want to see their stadium. And maybe that happens after we defeat the Sounders.
After we gut the fish. Yeah, it's weird. I heard that they're going to be in the Tacoma Defiance. Is that still a team? They don't have a team anymore, do they? Is Tacoma still a team? I don't think so.
It might be their, I guess, Sounders 2 team. I don't think it's the Tacoma Defiance, but I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure about that.
You know, that's too bad. Do you know why they're not doing it in the Seahawks
I
Stadium?
don't know the exact reason, but they usually play at Starfire for their Open Cup matches. And I don't know if it's just to, well, one, it could be an issue like we see with a lot of MLS teams in the early rounds of the Open Cup. They don't draw very well. And I would imagine it's probably a chance to get other places that maybe don't get, because it's south of Seattle. It's pretty close to the airport where the stadium is. So it may get a chance for people who don't make it all the way up into Seattle to see a match, to see a match. So I'm not sure of all the logistics, but I'm guessing those things play into it, especially the attendance piece probably plays into it quite a bit.
Mm. Well, if they would have had it in San Diego, they wouldn't have that problem. But, you know, for one reason or another, we cannot host, and that is frustrating, I think, for everyone. At least this one will be. I don't think it's going to be televised. I think we're going to have to watch it on an app, or a Bleacher Report
Yeah,
is going to be
I
broadcasting it.
I'm pretty sure it'll be on the Bleacher Report app. I'm not, again, 100% positive because it's been very sketchy this year as to which matches are televised or not. But I would imagine with an MLS team playing, those will probably be on the YouTube Bleacher Report channel
Okay.
that they have. So it'll be streamed, but that's probably the best we're going to get.
I think U.S. soccer fans are used to this. It is frustrating, but I feel like this is just the way it is, and the way that it's been for a while. So, yeah, that'll be. Do we have a chance against Seattle? Maybe we don't need to get into that, but let me just throw that out there.
I think you always have a chance because the MLS teams in these early rounds are rarely going to play their starters. It's a chance for their younger players who don't get a lot of playing time to get some playing time and to prove themselves. So they're going to be hungry to do well. But I think it levels the playing field a little bit. So I think this is why you see some of these upsets that happen early on with MLS teams. Because I would say on paper, they probably should beat us, right? They're an MLS team. They have more money. They ideally have better players, but soccer is a funny sport, and anything can happen in a one-off match. And I think if you are the USL team, it is your chance also to prove yourself against an MLS team. It doesn't matter if it's their starters or mostly bench players. It's your chance to upset an MLS team. So I think it creates for a great environment for the matches. I think we absolutely have a chance. But I would say, unfortunately, Seattle is one of the few MLS teams that does take the Open Cup very seriously. So, but we'll see what team they put forward. But I think the best time to face them is in an early round rather than a later round. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful game. 90 minutes. Give me your best. We'll give our best, and let's see what happens.
All right. So we've covered the watch parties. We've got the next open match. We've got an away trip coming up. Is there anything else that people need to be looking out for?
Just a couple of quick things. We wanted to give a shout out to Second Chance Beer Company that they are a new sponsor for our Man of the Match growler that we do. So they will be donating the beer for the growler. So I want to give a huge shout out to them for picking that up.
Second Chance, absolutely one of my favorite breweries. I was a UCSD student, and I would always go to Rock Bottom. At the time, the brewer was Marty. Marty is now the brewer at Second Chance. And owner of Second Chance, and every time I drink a Second Chance beer, it just like takes me back to college, and it just makes me so happy that his beer is packaged and out for the world to be able to have. And what a fantastic brewery! And they've always helped us out with having space for our tifos, and they're just good folks.
Right.
I remember going there during the pandemic for a watch party, and I loved that they had the like basically you could buy a beer for a friend. So if like you knew like, oh, my friend Becker is coming in, like I'm gonna buy him a beer and tell him, hey, when you come in on Friday, I got your first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that watch party. The drums were very loud, echoing, and that not we did not bring they did not bring the inside drums. It was quite the cacophony.
All right. And the last couple things I have are there is this 5v5 tournament coming up. If you're on the mailing list for the Loyal, you should have received this in your email sometime in the
John,
last few
see, I don't
days.
check my email, so this is why I need to listen to this podcast. So tell me
Right.
what's this about?
So there is Loyal has partnered with this 5v5 soccer group, and on I believe it's May 13th. It's the same day that we are playing RGV. There's going to be this 5v5 tournament at USD, so you're already there at USD. If you participate in the tournament, so maybe if you have some friends who you want to get a team together, they will also get a match ticket to the game that night. So it's if you go to the Loyal website, you can go to the links. I think if you get an early registration in, it's a little more than $300 for the team, and if you wait till the very last minute, it's about $425 something for your team.
Weren't they going to do the? Didn't they do this last year? And that was the game that Colorado Springs didn't come to, or it got postponed, or something.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Didn't that happen?
That sounds. I think so. So I don't know if the locals are interested in getting a team together. I don't think I've seen anything on Discord yet.
I mean,
there's three of us here,
about
so
this, but it's coming up soon.
You know what? You're more than welcome to trot out there and show your stuff, but I think I will be sitting this one out. My kid, I might volunteer my kid. He can go and do it,
but I don't know if there's co-ed. I think there is, but I know there's men's, women's divisions, and there's various age group divisions. I think as young as under 7. So there's all kinds of different divisions to sign up for. So if you think you have a group of people you want to get together and do some 5v5 soccer, May 13th. Go ahead and check out again, you'll find the link on the Loyals website, but go there and you can find out about the 5v5 soccer tournament. And then if there's nothing else, the very last thing I have is a reminder that Travis Ritt, one of our locals, is running in the Boston Marathon on Monday. So last chance to help him. He's raising money for a group called 11 Spoonfuls. He's trying to raise $10,000. I have not checked recently, but last week he was 75% of his way to his goal. So if you want to help out any last little bit, and I've been talking with some of the Kicking It with the Locals people, and we're going to see if Travis is willing. So Travis, you're giving you a heads up right here. We might be trying to reach out to you to get you on the show sometime after you've run your marathon.
That's really fantastic. I'm so glad he's almost at his goal. Still the most unfortunate name I've heard for a charity, but I'm very glad that they're doing something good. It's for a good cause. Just I don't know what they were. I don't know. All right, now we do have we still have other Bums TV, the cinematic universe, other shows coming this week. Right. John, what is coming out tomorrow?
Okay, so we should get a Bums breakdown tomorrow, so that look for that out on YouTube first before it comes out on the podcast. There will not be a Kicking It with the Locals this week. Like we said, we're just getting our feet under us for that show. We've had 3 episodes. If you haven't seen them, there was one about Sal, who's one of our hosts, one about Marklin, who's our other main host. And then we did one with the president of the supporter group for Tulsa, one of their supporter groups, 83 United was the one we did last week. But our next one we're trying to do is get somebody from Gorilla FC, which is one of the Sounders supporter groups, get them on the podcast. So we're trying to make some kind of arrangements to do that recording next week. We will likely do it live. So to give members of both SGs a chance to chime in and ask questions like we did with 83 United. So that should be coming up. Hopefully by next show, we will know the time for that one. And then no locals last call because we don't have any home games this week. But we will, in about 20 minutes, be doing the lounge here coming up. So we'll do some hopefully some fun conversations in there this week.
And what might be a topic that we could talk about in the lounge? Let me think about it. Let me just think about it for a little bit. I don't know. Maybe just something like I don't know. Maybe
Oh
I don't know.
no.
It could be anything. Really,
Oh no.
anything we want to talk about.
Oh man, let's do we'll do streaming wars in the lounge because I have hot takes about that show. I'm ready to get in the dirt.
Yeah.
There's two bad shows. There's actually two bad shows on Disney Plus going right now. It's incredible. The double the left right of Mandalorian and Ted Lasso, which I think Mandalorian is a little more popularly being criticized this season. But yeah. Okay, great. So lots coming up. Away game this Saturday. Next weekend, we are back at home against the Rowdies of Tampa Bay. This is a good team, probably one of the premier best East Coast teams, if not the best East Conference teams. That will be in a week and a half. So after this away match, so lots of good stuff coming up. The Rowdies, is that a Sunday game?
It is a Sunday game.
That is a Sunday afternoon game. Listen, I'm gonna start saying this now. I know we're 2 weeks ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself, but come out on these Sunday afternoon games. These afternoon games, come out if you can, please. These are the ones. I know it's harder to come to than a Saturday night game, and they don't draw as well. But this Saturday afternoon game that we just came off of with Tulsa, the energy from 109 was key. We got that winning own goal in the 94th minute, right before the whistle blew, and that was in large part due to the pressure being applied on that keeper and on that back line by us. We are the 12th man, and we need everybody out there in these afternoon games. Call in sick, quit your job, whatever you got to do to get out there. We need everybody in the stands. So I'm going to hit this hard, obviously, next week as well. I'm going to remind everybody, but get out there if you can. I say that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there. I've got to check my calendar.
I was going to say, I thought the attendance was much better than I expected for a Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
I was expecting, it's Saturday before Easter. Everybody seemed to have other plans, but to me, I thought it was one of the better crowds that we had
for an afternoon game.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, 109 was a little thinner. I mean, to be expected. When I look over at the main stands, though, it looked like, I mean, maybe it was a little thinner, but not that much thinner. It looked very well attended. Yeah. So that's encouraging. So, all right. Join us in the lounge in about 15 minutes. Ken, where can people find you?
So I am on Twitter and Instagram at Red the Trucker. I'll probably explain my Twitter name in the lounge, and gives you even more reason to tune in.
And John, where can folks find you?
Best place to find me is on Discord at John Cross.
All right. And John mentions the Discord. The Discord is absolutely free for Locals members. Locals membership also free. So if you want to get in on these conversations and many more enlightening, polite discussions, they're all happening on Discord 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So hit us up, join the Locals, get on the Discord, and get in the conversation. I'm Andrew Dyer. I'm on Twitter at Andrew P. Dyer, and I will be back with John and Ken in 15 minutes in the lounge. So until then, until next week, bye.